Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Emera Center North Side for Fight Night Round 4 of amateur boxing. Again, in the squared circle here at the Emera Center North Side, and with me ringside is Kyle McLean from Glace Bay. And Kyle, it would seem that in our first night and the first 4 bouts, they were very entertaining, and now we're getting to seeing the guys just. I know it's the way that you plan it, but as you move along in the program, you get a little bit older. Now we've got a couple of 17-year-olds coming up and
a little bit more experienced.
Jacob Scott from the hub town, that's of course in Truro, and it looks like Mehdi Tarhan, if I get from the Tri-Town Boxing Club here in the north side.
That sounds about right, yeah.
He's a foreign exchange student from Istanbul, Turkey. So
oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's an international
That's
bout.
awesome. That's great.
It's his debut fight, so I'm interested to see when he comes into the ring.
Yeah.
But you know something? A lot of the, I know from being involved in the school board, each and every year we have more international students coming into the area. And a lot of the international students, they don't just come here and just go to school as an international student.
They get involved, eh?
They get involved in the community, and they get immersed in the community. And I think that's great.
I think it's great too, yeah.
It's a great experience for them. They'll take that back to their home country, and you like to see that. And then you hope that your students here that are going into international as in a return trip will get involved in their society over there to see how the other half lives, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great to see exchange students come here and get involved in the local sports scene, you know.
And another thing that we're going to see in this bout is a female referee.
Yes, Stephanie. She's a former 3-time Canadian champion, boxed at a Citadel Boxing Club. Very, very well experienced fighter. I'm not sure if she's still fighting. Stephanie Walker's her name, but she's had a lot of fights and again fought at the world level. And now she's doing a really good job as an official. She officiates and she also judges as well.
Thank you.
Well, they finally get rid of the wireless mic that was causing them some problems, and they're hardwired now. So, for announcer Blake Bentley.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us bring the fighters into the arena for our next bout of the evening. From the red corner, Jacob Scott.
So these guys are welterweights at 150.
With the blue corner, Matt Tarhan.
So I'd imagine if he's here as an international student, he would have boxed over in Turkey, because you just not something you show up and say I want to box.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Turkey is notorious for having killers. They have lots of tough fighters in Turkey.
Well, I would say it's his debut. For both fighters, it's his debut.
This boxer trains in Uptown Boxing from Truro, Nova Scotia. This is his debut fight. Give it up for Jacob Scott. And his opponent staring down across the ring, boxing out of the blue corner, Nelson D. Hometown Pride. This boxer is a foreign exchange student from Istanbul, Turkey. He trains at Tri-Town Amateur Boxing from North Sydney, Cape Breton. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Tarhan. And the referee in charge of the moment after the bell.
He looks very confident there in the blue corner.
I notice he doesn't have the boxing footwear on. He's got the sneakers.
The sneakers, yeah. You'll see that with a lot of the young guys.
Does that make a difference?
Well, they say it does, but I don't find. I've never boxed in sneakers. I've always had boots, but you see a lot of kids boxing in sneakers. They're more comfortable in sneakers, but when you're on this canvas, it's a little bit difficult to move with the sneakers. A little bit more difficult.
Again, Tarhan's a southpaw, and fighting Jacob Scott in the red gear. Tarhan he likes to move a little bit in the ring. Eh?
He's slipping under that left hand, and then he's coming up with his right hand counter. He looks pretty sharp for his first bout.
Again, Tarhan, the blue, is from Istanbul, Turkey, an international student here in the Cape Breton Victoria Regional School Board. Fighting out of the Tri-Town Club. I would imagine that he is going to a Memorial.
Yeah, most likely probably going to Memorial High School, yeah. He got tagged there with a right hand. He needs to move his head and get off the ropes.
He got a little bit careless there.
Yeah, ropes are the enemy. He needs to swivel off the ropes and get back to the center of the ring. He's kind of ducking his head there as he's coming forward, which, you know, can be a recipe for disaster if he gets hit with an uppercut.
Now, is this where the coaches come into play here in the
Absolutely.
after the first round? They'll tell
a good coach will let him know what he's doing wrong. Just minor adjustments, how to tweak it so he's not doing the same thing in the second round.
But tell me, Kyle, is that difficult to do for a boxer in terms of, especially the younger
Make that
guys?
Adjustment?
Yeah, because if they're doing it as a matter of habit. Right?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah, it is. But I mean, when you get that special athlete that's that you know is going to be special, they're able to make those minor adjustments, and that's what makes the difference. And again, like I said, that's where a good coach comes into play. If you can get your boxer to make those adjustments, it's just as much you as the boxer. When it comes to changing what they're going to do in the second round if they need to make those adjustments.
The other side of that is in terms of when they're out there in the ring. You mentioned this earlier, and it's true, I guess. Fighting is a lot like it's an individual sport, or boxing, but to be able to, you're out there throwing punches, you're trying to defend against punches, and you still have to use the old bean. I mean, you got to be able to think what you're doing.
You have to think, right? Yeah, you always got to think a move or two ahead of your opponent. Not just go in there and wing away. You got to have a game plan. You got to, you can pick up on little tells that your opponent may have, and you got to make those adjustments mid-fight if you can. And again, the elite fighters and the kids that are special, they'll make those adjustments.
Seconds out for round number 2.
I had the privilege one time, and I interviewed quite a few of these guys. Archie Moore was one.
Yeah.
Floyd Patterson was another guy I had a chance to interview. And when they talk about boxing, it's a totally different world. I mean, the things that they talk about.
Absolutely,
right? It's all about philosophy and about how you approach different fighters. And
that's why you see a lot of on the national team now they'll have like life coaches, and they'll have like psychologists and stuff, sports psychologists come in and talk to the fighters, because a lot of times a lot of these fighters, especially at the higher level, they need that. Because it's easy for your nerves to get rattled when you're in international competition, and sometimes it takes someone to calm you down that actually knows how to do it properly. Coaches can only do so much, but when you're at the higher level, that's when it comes into sports psychologists.
So Tarhan fighting back in this one. It's a good bout.
Much better round.
So again, I think they made the adjustments with their coaches and on both sides of it. The Hubtown fighter, Jacob Scott, looks to be a little heavier than Tarhan, but Tarhan seems to be pretty good hands.
Yeah, he's holding himself well, for sure. Again, he just needs to tighten up his shots a little bit, not wing so much, and again, make sure he always keeps his eye on his opponent when he slips underneath the punch. You always got to peek up through your eyebrow and keep your eye on your opponent.
Tarhan seems to be tiring a little bit.
Yeah, he is a little bit, yeah. Again, as a Tri-Town fighter from the north side, you can never count them out. They're always tough.
Again, it's Jacob Scott from Truro, 17 years old, against another 17-year-old fighter, Mehdi Tarhan, from Istanbul, Turkey, fighting out of the Tri-Town Boxing Club. He's an international student. Only a few seconds left in this second round. Stephanie Walker, the referee.
Close fight. I'm thinking it may be 1-1 or maybe 2-0 for the red corner.
Pick up your 50-50 tickets. Ticket prices are $2 each or 3 for $5. And on behalf of Tri-Town Amateur Boxing,
I always get amazed when in amateur boxing. I always get amazed by the energy in the building.
I know.
But people pick up on it, eh?
Yeah.
Because especially as you move along and they get older, these fighters give it everything they've got.
Absolutely.
And I always expect, and I think I'm right in saying that the people that are sitting ringside, or doesn't matter where they're sitting, they respect that.
Oh, absolutely, they do. Yeah. These kids are fighting for a trophy or a medal, you know, as opposed to, you know, money. So I mean, they're not really gaining anything. So they're going in there to give it their all, you know, 100%. Because I remember my first fight. I won my first fight, and I got this little medal, and it was 1992, and I still have that medal at home for my first bout. Yeah, and it was just a tiny little thing, but you're so proud, you know, of your first fight, first win. Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the beauty of amateur boxing. You know, they're doing it for the love of the sport.
Okay, the third and final round, with Jacob Scott in the red corner against Matty Tarhan in the blue corner.
Oh, they're both coming out swinging, Dave.
I think they both think that this one can be had, so they're not taking any chances.
I think so too, yeah. Oh, that was a good right hand he hit Matty with.
I guess you got to be careful and you got to curb that enthusiasm, because when you're trying to swing a while, you can walk into one as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Matty seems to be tiring a bit, but he really needs to, you know, pick it up this last round. But again, the young kid from Hubtown's tough. And he keeps pressing forward.
Oh, yeah. Not a lot left in the tank for Tarhan. He's tiring.
Yeah, he is starting to tire. But again, he's still swinging away. Again, for their first fight, it's a pretty entertaining bout. You know, both of these guys will learn from this fight, whether they win or lose. They'll definitely learn a lot from your first fight.
Again, it's Tarhan in the blue. He's an international student from Istanbul, Turkey, here in Cape Breton. And he's fighting at the Tri-Town Boxing Club up against Jacob Scott from Truro. The club there is, of course, the Hubtown. One thing you should never do is turn your back on your opponent.
No.
That's a no-no.
He'll get warned for that from the referee. Yeah.
Would that cost him a point eventually if he did it again?
Possibly, yeah.
He was just waiting for that slap.
Yeah. Tarhan's all bloodied up. Looks like his nose is bloodied. Yeah. But again, good competitive fight. I think that maybe Hubtown did enough to pull it out. But again, great fight.
Yeah, he caught one in the button there.
Yeah.
But then again, it was a good scrap.
Very evenly matched.
Again, that was Matty Tarhan. In the blue corner, Jacob Scott from the Hubtown Boxing Club. And this was, as Kyle said, I think this would go in the favor of the Hubtown boxer, Jacob Scott. It seemed to be in control most of the fight. But for the young Turkish boxer in the blue, I think he gave him full marks for enthusiasm.
Absolutely, yeah. He gave it his all. And again, his first fight, you know, he'll learn from this loss, and I'm sure he'll come back better and stronger.
What do you tell the folks back home? About fighting in front of 1,000 people at the Northside.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Great experience for him. Huge experience.
I'm sure when he moved here for school, last thing on his mind was getting into a ring and boxing in front of 1,000 people.
What a way though to get into society here and meet a lot of new friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
just a tremendous way.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have the official announcement for our fifth fight of the evening from the judges' scorecards, and to your winner by unanimous decision from the red corner, Jacob Scott.
Again, that was a good call. I think the right guy got the decision. But again, young Matt, he's going to do well. Can't be ashamed of losses like that. He went out and gave it his all. It's a good scrap.
Coming up, another New Glasgow fighter, Connor Walsh. He's 13 years old in the 120-pound division against Noah Squires from Newfoundland. Again, I would hazard a guess say he's from St. John's as well. Probably the same club, but we'll wait to hear from the referee. Brad Ross is going to be the referee in this one.
Yes, my old buddy Brad Ross. A great loss to Cape Breton Boxing. He moved to Halifax there not too long ago. He's a correctional officer, got a big promotion, and so now him and his wife are stationed out of Halifax. He used to run the Sydney Boxing Club for many, many years. Many successful fighters out of there, and it was a loss to Cape Breton Boxing once he left.
From the red corner, Connor Walsh.
And Brad is also the president of Boxing Nova Scotia.
Please help us bring the boxer in for the blue corner, Noah Squires. Boxing on the red corner. This boxer trains at Albion Amateur Boxing Club from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Connor Walsh. And as a powerful barrier bound across the ring, boxing out of the blue corner. This boxer trains at TRC Boxing Club from St. John's, Newfoundland. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for is Mr. Brad Ross.
Okay, so you got Squires is 14 years old from Newfoundland. I'm not sure, he's at 8 bouts. And Connor Walsh from the Albion Club in Glasgow is 5 bouts. He's 13 years old, so but here you get a 14-year-old who was 8 bouts. So really Squires has more experience in the ring.
A little more experience, yeah. Both novices, under 10 fights.
So they're set to go again in the red corner. It's Squires from the TRC Club in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Again, I'm looking at young Walsh from New Glasgow, and he seems to be very aggressive right from the get-go, although the Newfoundland fighter seems to be pressing the action. Nice jab by the New Glasgow fighter. Walsh is really setting everything up with that left jab, and then he's digging to the body. Coming back to the head. Dig into that body.
I like the boxers that come straight forward and keep their head up and are always watching,
yeah.
Right?
They're always the most entertaining. You look at someone like Arturo Gatti. That's all he did, come forward. And again, that's what the fans want to see. You know, they like guys that just are constantly engaged.
For a lot of people watching amateur boxing, I think that even it's gone are the days of, I don't know if there ever were any days like this, but the guy that takes 2 punches to get a good one in. I mean, those days, you know.
Those days are gone, yeah.
Yeah, the guy's got to be scientific, and he's got to try and.
You know, and the coaches have evolved as well. You know, it's a lot harder now to get your coaching certifications as it once was. You know, because of stuff like this. You know, because now they gotta worry about injuries and, you know, kids' well-being. So, you know, it's a little bit more scientific now. Again, like you said, gone are the days where you just go in there and may the best kid win, just throwing bombs, coming forward. You really, honestly need to use your head. And again, that was a great first round. It was a pretty close first round. Both kids, you know, excellent skill set.
Not much to pick from between these two.
No, not really, no. Again, the kid from Albion, from New Glasgow, was mixing it up a little bit more, going to the body. But again, they probably landed close to the same amount of punches that round. It was a good first round.
There have been so many, I think, as we're talking here, Kyle, I'm trying to think of some of the great. John McCarthy did a lot of boxing, was a good boxer.
Ring 73, yeah.
Scott McIntosh.
Scott McIntosh, he trained a little bit of Ring 73, but boxed out of Sydney. His father, the great Lambert McIntosh, rest in peace.
In fact, last time I did this, Lambert did the color.
Yeah, great guy, great guy. You know, he was, I think, cruiserweight or light heavyweight champ of Canada.
He passed away. Another guy was Johnny Calvin from Waterford.
Yeah.
Johnny fought in the Olympics in Los Angeles in '88.
Yeah.
And but he trained out of Toronto, but he's from New Waterford.
That's where his roots are, yeah. Again, lots of great fighters came from Cape Breton. Again, one of my closest friends, Marty O'Donnell from Glace Bay, another Olympian, 7-time Canadian champion, just like Scott. You know, both of them have similar resumes when it comes to boxing.
Well, slip.
Oh, that's a slip.
Slipping there was Connor Walsh from the Glasgow. Again in the blue is Noah Squires from St. John's, Newfoundland.
These kids are throwing lots of punches or landing lots. They're fighting, as we say, in a phone booth, very close together. Lots of inside combinations.
Squires seems to like to set up that uppercut.
Yeah, against a shorter fighter, setting it up with, because he seems to be dropping a lot, the Albion fighter to go to the body. So the Newfoundland fighter's trying to catch him coming in with that uppercut. Trying to time him.
A lot of these guys, because it's an intense for each round, and you're really, you're straining for those 3 rounds. So do they get sore, or are they in shape? Like, do they get sore?
No, they'll get sore
the next
after.
day?
Yeah, the next day they'll be sore for sure. A lot of times, you know, if you get hit in the face, your nose might be a little bit sore. It doesn't mean it had to bleed the night before, but besides that, you'll find a lot of the shoulders and arms get sore. My shoulders and my upper back used to get sore quite a bit. But again, once the adrenaline's flowing here and these kids are fighting, and afterwards, they're not feeling any of that.
Connor Walsh in the red, Noah Squires in the blue, Squires from Newfoundland. Brad Ross giving some instructions to the boys.
Yeah, tell them to keep up the punches, keep them up. Again, Dave, this is very evenly contested. It's hard to say. I think the kid from Albion's doing just a little bit more. But again, it's a very close fight.
So this one's going to be anybody's bout. We're heading into the 3rd round already. And Connor Walsh against Squires. And I guess if I was Newfoundland guys, I'd want to be taking home at least one of these bouts here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the drive home is never fun when everybody on your team loses. We've been there, so I know the feeling.
Good crowd on hand here tonight at the Emera Center North Side for amateur boxing. This is Fight Night Round 4.
Yeah, it's good. This is their big card that they have every year, and it's a good fundraiser for the club because, you know, they have lots of kids, and, you know, they're doing a lot in the community besides just the boxing aspect, so it's good to see Northside doing so well. I mean, the guys that run that club, as I said earlier, they do so much work, you know, with the kids and in the community. You know, they deserve to be rewarded.
After this fight, we've got a fight involving Caleb Jessam from North Sydney up against Kyle Woodworth from Member 2. Squires in the blue.
So it looks like this 3rd round might be the round. Again, Squires still trying to rely on that uppercut. As Walsh is coming in. Walsh mixing it up, head and body. He's throwing lots of different punches, lots of combinations. This is going to be a tough one to score for the judges for sure. Nice left hook. Walsh seems just to be a little bit more technical. than Squires, but again, they seem pretty evenly matched.
Well, they won't have to worry about a hometown decision because one of the kids is from Glasgow, the other from Newfoundland. So.
Yeah. Again, Squires seems to be doing a little bit more this round than the first two. Both kids seem to be tiring a little bit.
For most of the fight, it seems that Squires looks like he wants to unload that big punch. He hasn't been able to pull the trigger.
No,
yet,
he's trying to set it up. He's trying to set up that right uppercut, but it doesn't seem to be working. And while he's trying to set that up, young Walsh just keeps banging to the body. He just keeps working, and that might be the difference in this fight.
Those are all scoring punches, eh?
Yes, they are. Yeah. Oh, again, nice right hand by Walsh. 10 seconds left. We're going to finish strong.
Walsh is still throwing the leather.
Good fight. That was a great fight. Very competitive fight. I would think I'd have to give the edge to Walsh from New Glasgow. But again, it could be anybody's fight. But it seems like he did just enough to win.
And full marks to the, not only from Newfoundland, but also to New Glasgow, the Albion Club. They seem to always show up with boxers who are prepared. And
always. They travel quite a bit. And again, Jim Worthing, very good coach. It's been around for a long, long time. And he knows how to get his boxers prepared.
Let's bring into the ring to make the medal presentations. Mike Harridge from Harridge Contracting.
Again, the boxers were Connor Walsh in the red corner, in Glasgow, Noah Squires from Newfoundland. And the blue corner, and in just a minute we'll go down to ring announcer Blake Bentley to get the judge's decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have the official announcement for our sixth bout of the evening. Once again, for the judges' scorecards, and to your winner by unanimous decision, from the red corner, Connor Walsh!
Again, tough fight. You know, there's no real loser in this fight because both kids gave it their all. It's good to see. And again, they hug each other afterwards, and it's great.
Even though we all like to be part of Cape Breton, it wouldn't take 5.5 hours.
I think for a lot of these kids, I think now I'm not sure of the how it works when they go to box ops, and you know, there's so many ways, different ways to try and get to Olympics.
Right.
It must be disappointing for a boxer that has to travel a long way, whether the box ops are, and he goes there, and this is his only ticket to the Olympics. And if he loses, and I know it's tough, especially if it's a real close decision. I can see he can go in there, but you were just outclassed. That happens.
And it's tough, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming up in just a few minutes' time, we're going to have a next match, but right now we're going to take a short intermission, and we'll be back with the next bout.
For our final bout before our intermission, the boxer from the red corner, Caleb Jessup.
Okay, we're ready for our next match. It's Caleb Jessup, the Tri-Town Boxing Club, at the 135-pound class against Kyle Woodworth from Member 2. And after this one, there'll be a short intermission.
The boxer in the blue corner, Kyle Woodworth. Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout of the evening is in the 135-pound classification. 3 rounds of boxing, 2 minutes per round. Out of the participants, boxing under the blue corner. This boxer trains at his opponent staring him down across the ring. Boxing out of the red corner, North Sydney, Simone Powell. Tri-Town's own from North Sydney, Caleb Jessup. And the referee in charge of the bell after the bell is Ray Russell.
Okay, so for both these fighters, or at least for Caleb Jessup, it's his debut. And for Kyle Woodworth, his third bout. He's only had 2 bouts. One is 16, both are 16 years old.
Yeah. I've seen Caleb warming up today. He looks very, very strong physically. Short, stocky kid. So it should be an interesting bout.
So Ray Russell, the referee, giving them their instructions. So we're set to go here. In the red corner, Caleb Jessup. The blue corner, Kyle Woodworth. Jessup with something to prove here tonight. It's his first fight.
And you know if Greg Martin's in his corner that this kid's prepared and he's coming to fight. Greg and Daniel Martin have done a terrific job with the Member 2 Boxing Club since they've moved out there.
Again, Greg Martin, just this past year, was involved in the Wall of Fame in Glace Bay.
Yes, yeah, well deserved.
Yeah.
Long overdue if you ask me, but yeah, well deserved. He's put so many years into the sport of boxing as a builder, coach, started out as an athlete himself. It's good to see guys like that recognized.
Jessup in the red. Right now, seems taking the fight a little bit to Kyle Woodworth. Woodworth would seem to have a little bit of an advantage in reach and height.
Yes, yeah.
Good left hook by Woodworth, another right.
And he seems to be using that reach properly, keeping him at the end of the punches. Again, Caleb needs to use that jab and close the distance. He's got to get inside the long reach of Kyle. If he doesn't, it's going to be a long night for him. He keeps getting nailed with that left jab from the Member 2 fighter. Seems like he can't get away from it. Not really moving his head much. But again, he's physically strong, so he's just coming forward. Well, that was a pick'em round, I think. I'm not sure Dave won that first round.
Yeah, that was tough. It seemed that if I had to pick somebody, Woodworth seems to be a little. You can see the 2 matches he's had.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he's got the reach advantage, he's a little height. You can't tell if they're stronger or not from up here, but it's difficult. I'm saying they're both. You know, these guys are. I'm sure they knew it was coming. They're getting ready for it, and they were ready for this in terms of physically. So.
And again, they both have excellent corners, which again, you know, is a big part of the athlete's success.
I was thinking that old joke of the guy who was the coach says to the boxer, he's not laying a glove on you, so we'll keep an eye on the referee.
Yeah, that's the old adage. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, again in the blue corner, Kyle Woodworth. The red corner, Caleb Jessup. He's from North Sydney. Woodworth from the Tri-Town Club and from the Red Tri Club Member 2.
Oh. He's coming forward, Dave, but he's not moving his head, so he keeps getting hit with that left hook and that right hand from the Member 2 fighter. He really needs to move his head as he's getting in and trying to close the distance. He keeps getting nailed with that jab. It's popping his head back, and that might be the difference in this fight. He's trying to close the distance, but he's coming in straight forward without moving his head, and he's paying the price for that.
It can't be like Rocky.
No, there's only one Rocky.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think Woodworth seems to be aware of what this Jessup can do in terms of his. Because he started to back off there a little bit.
He seems a little bit more intelligent, a little bit of more of an IQ when it comes to boxing, how to stay at the end and move. See, he's boxing and moving. He's sticking and moving, and that's what you need to do to a shorter, stronger opponent. Keep him at the end of your reach, keep him at the end of that jab, and just keep moving. And he seems to be working that perfectly. I mean, this kid from the north side is strong and he's tough. Oh, nice combination from Caleb. Seems to be trying to pick it up a little bit here, but again, he needs to move his head.
Overhand right from Woodworth, didn't connect.
Oh.
Box in the middle of the ring.
See that jab, he's getting hit with every jab.
Good straight jet left there.
Yeah.
Woodworth.
Oh! That was a big left hook. That was probably the best punch of the fight.
Now, why did he get a warning there from the referee?
Because he said stop. And so when you stop, you need to stop the action. But instead of stopping, he threw that punch a little bit late. The referee will use his discretion. If he knows the kid didn't mean it, then, but I mean, he could, if he wanted to, deduct the point.
I guess the other side of it is too that the other boxer, you can't take anything for granted in the ring either. You
got to keep your hands up at all times.
So we're already heading into the third round of this match between Caleb Jessup and Kyle Woodworth. Quick for the fans, quick for us, but not for the guy who's in the...
Not when you're in there. Again, if they're fighting 2-minute rounds, 3 2-minute rounds, 6 minutes is nothing, but really when you're in there, time goes by very, very slow, especially if you're on the receiving end. It's fun when you're on the, when you're dishing it out, but when you're on the receiving end, 2 minutes can seem like 5 minutes, So again, this third round, I think the Northside fighter needs to pick it up a bit. Again, move his head as he's coming forward. Get inside that jab and he'll be fine.
Woodworth raced across the ring there to start this ring.
He's ready to go.
Is that a kind of is that typical Greg Martin thing that don't take anything for granted?
Well, Greg Martin was the master at lighting a fire under you. If he thinks that you weren't doing well, he will get to you that round and he'll make sure that when you go out there, you're ready to roll. That's why he was great at getting guys psyched up and ready to roll. He was one of the best. Still is one of the best.
Again, Jessup walking into that left.
Yeah. He's getting hit with a lot of left jabs because he can't seem to move his head. He's a game fighter. Good skills, but again, he's just got to move that head a little bit and he'd be doing much better.
Keeps getting hit with that left jab.
Left jab. He can't get away from that left jab. Again, that's the reach of the member 2 fighter. That nice long jab. Again, the jab's the most important fight in boxing, most important punch in boxing. He's getting a standing 8 count here because he got hit with 3 or 4 good shots. And again, Ray Russell's one of the best referees in the business. And that's it, they stopped the fight. Again, Ray Russell probably took a good look at him, seeing that he was, maybe not completely there. Might have been a little bit premature stoppage, but I don't think the end was in discussion. I think, if it had went 3 rounds, he might have lost the decision.
I'd rather see a referee do that than a boy get hurt.
Absolutely, right? and that's exactly what Ray did. That's exactly what he did, yeah.
So this is only the second RSC of the evening.
Yeah. And again, a pretty good fight, he wasn't too much better than the other kid. Just that one punch, that jab that he couldn't get away from, and that's what caused most of the damage. So again, he'll work on that. Caleb will go back to the gym Monday. He'll know what he did wrong, and he'll try to make those adjustments for the next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us bring into the ring to make the medal presentation. Leo Steele from John D. Steele & Sons.
All right, now we're going to have Blake Bentley will tell us what we know already, that it's a decision RSC stops contest in the favor of Kyle Woodworth from the Member 2 Boxing Club.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official announcement for our second bout of the evening. At 1 minute 25 seconds of round number 3, the referee stops the contest. And to your winner from the blue corner by TKO, Kyle.
Again, it seems like those two fights in the difference made a little bit of a difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know this young man, you're going to know very, very soon here tonight. He's going to be in our co-main event. Mr. Josh Prince from Tri-Town Amateur Boxing is heading off to England to fight in the Herring Box Cup 20.
So coming up in our next bout tonight, Kyle, is going to be Mason McKeegan against Riley Sheehan. Mason's from the Tri-Town Boxing Club. We'll talk a little more about this guy in a few minutes. Big thing, when he started, he was 300 pounds.
Big success story.
Oh!
Big success story. At that age to lose that much weight.
Now he's down to 165.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to him. So that's the next bout coming up. Mason McKeegan and Riley Sheehan. Our next bout coming up, again, Mason McKeegan and Riley Sheehan. He's from New Glasgow. McKeegan is from the north side, Tri-Town. Let's go to Blake Bentley, the ring announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us bring the boxers in for our next bout. The boxer out of the red corner, Mason McKeegan.
I know.
Now the participants. Boxing in the blue corner. This boxer trains at the Albion Amateur Boxing Club in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Ladies and gentlemen, Riley Sheehan. And his opponent staring him down from across the ring. Boxing out of the red corner. North Sydney, hometown pride. Ladies and gentlemen, Tri-Town's own Mason McKeegan. And the referee in charge of the bout after the bell is Kyle Clark.
Okay, very quickly, without dwelling on too much, but this says McKeegan is a story to weigh 300 pounds, and now he's down to 165.
Yeah.
I tell you, even if that was his goal when he came in amateur boxing was to lose weight, it's worked.
Wow. You know, 140 pounds he lost, you know, at that age is enormous amount of weight. And again, it's just a testament to, you know, the coaching staff, you know, how they really focus on fighters first. And I mean, he had to put in the work, obviously, but I mean, look at him now, he looks fabulous.
That's Mason McKeegan in the red gear, red corner. Again, Riley Sheehan from the Albion Club in Glasgow. This is he has one belt under his belt. He's 17 years old. McKeegan has 2.
He's very tall. It seems like Albion's had a lot of fighters tonight that were very tall and lanky. Looking for another win under the belt.
He's a big boy, Sheehan.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got good reach again, and in a situation where the aggressor is McKeegan.
And McKeegan landed a nice overhand right and overhand left previous. He seems more of a puncher, as opposed to the Albion boxer seems like more of a boxer, a stay-at-home boxer as opposed to a puncher.
One thing that you're not going to outdo in this fight is there's no way Shaheen is going to be out. Determination is McKeegan's strong suit, right?
Absolutely.
Because of what he did,
yeah.
losing 140
His
pounds.
heart and dedication are unmatched. And again, he's in there with a bigger opponent, and I mean, he's kind of having his way with him right now. It's a pretty tight first round, but he seems to be slipping under the taller opponent's reach quite a bit and coming up with his hooks to the head.
Is that a trippy style? Eh? He's like really low.
He's a big guy, Shaheen, but the old saying is the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But
Yes.
they're always taking those haymakers
So that guy's
now.
gonna straight him off foot, man, if he gets in there.
As long as McKeegan can stay inside and smother the Albion boxer's reach advantage, you know, it would be an advantage to him. He just doesn't want to be on the outside of the Albion boxer.
Shaheen
He
is
wants
not
to
just
stay
a
inside.
swinger, is he? He seems to have pretty good speed with those punches.
He
He's
does,
pretty
yeah.
quick.
And he's trying to set up all his shots properly, but again, if McKeegan can close that distance and keep it tight like he is, it's more of an advantage to him. Good first round. And again, what a success story to lose 140 pounds. Unbelievable.
Again, it's a rematch. Mason lost the first fight in a close decision. And that fight was named the fight of the night in Glasgow. I can understand. Even that first round was very entertaining.
And if you lose a close fight to a hometown fighter, say in New Glasgow or in Halifax, you know it could have went either way. Because that's just the way it is with hometowns, right? If it's a close fight, you usually give it to the hometown fighter. It's always been that way.
Well, I guess when you're the hometown guy, you expect that because
You
you're
expect
going to.
it, right?
It's the other way. It's the other
Yeah.
way when you're in the other guy's burn. So.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I also enjoy watching the coaches in the corners.
Yeah, some of them are very animated. They're
Yeah.
boxing in there themselves, basically, right? I mean, some guys, like when I was coaching, I would live through my fighter. So every time he's slipping and moving and throwing, I'm in the corner there thinking I'm doing the exact same thing.
Well, Kyle Clark brings him to the center of the ring, and they're at it again. Again, Shaheen from Glasgow in the blue, Mason McKeegan on the north side in the red.
Both fighters are aggressive here early in the second round.
Again, Shaheen pretty quick with his punches.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And I could be wrong in saying this, you can tell me, Kyle, is the fact that though McKeegan's a little more compact, right?
He is, yeah, short and stocky.
If he hits you with a short punch, you're going to feel it.
Yep. That's why he needs to stay on the inside where he can do his best work like he is here. But if he's on the outside, like he is right now, you know, it's a disadvantage to him being a shorter fighter. He needs to stay low, stay on the inside, smother his opponent's punches, and then get off. Oh, the Albion fighter is ripping those left uppercuts and left hooks.
This is where game plan comes in for a boxer. I mean, he's got to stick to the game plan. The shorter
Absolutely.
boxer, he's got,
Yeah.
as you said, he's got to get inside.
But then again, as you know, like a lot of times, once you start getting hit with your game plan, you throw it out the window and you go back to what you know best, whether it be brawling, defensive.
Well, I imagine for a lot of these guys, it doesn't matter what level of boxing you're in. After a while, self-preservation kicks in, and you're
Big
trying
time,
to protect
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, the fight or flight.
Willie Pep said many years ago in his fighting career, "He who hits and runs away lives to fight another day."
Absolutely, look at Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Good second round, very, very closely contested.
Willie Pep was down in the States. They brought him into Sydney for a boxing card, amateur boxing card at Holy Redeemer, and I had to call Willie Pep and do an interview with him on the phone. And I called him, and he was like an old Italian guy, right? I told him who I was. Willie Pep, this is Dave LeBlanc, calling from Sydney. He said, "Dave, do I know you?"
Do I know you?
He was a comical guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Willie Pep. But he came to Sydney. He was a great speaker and
Yeah.
spoke at the banquet.
when I lived in northern Saskatchewan, we got George Chevallo to come down for four days and stayed with my wife and I. Just, you know, he's had a rough life with his, you know, three children and his wife, you know, dying due to drugs and suicide, and he has a great story to tell. So we took him up to the reserve that we were working on, and wow, the stories that he had. Otherwise, his story, which was, you know, like amazing story, what he went through, but he had so much hope for the kids, you know, and such a great speaker. And so many stories about Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yeah.
That a lot of people don't know. Hilarious.
So it's the third and final round between Mason McKeegan in the red, Riley Shaheen and from the Albion Club in New Glasgow in the blue. And Shaheen is not flinching from his game plan, throwing those big uppercuts and using that reach. Still trying to unload. But doesn't seem to be bothering McKeegan. He's coming straight ahead.
They're both going toe-to-toe, landing lots of shots. Nobody seems to be backing up or giving an inch. Great third round so far. McKeegan's slipping under, throwing big overhand lefts and rights. Boom, again, same punch, slipping under and then overhand left, overhand right. Both kids are giving it what they have, and that's, you know, that's what the sport's all about. Oh, another great left hook.
Full marks. I wouldn't want to be calling this one. This is pretty close.
No, this is a tough one for the judges to score for sure.
Again, Shaheen in the blue from New Glasgow, McKeegan from North Sydney. He's in the Tri-Town Club. McKeegan 16 years old. Shaheen is 17. Shaheen much taller with a longer reach.
But he's not really getting the opportunity to use that reach to his advantage. McKeegan's staying on the inside, slipping under the long punches and countering with his overhand left and right. It's a pretty good...
Yeah, I think it's good coaching, eh?
It is very good coaching, yeah. Again, Mike Jarrow is head coach, former national champion. I coached him a little bit when he boxed at Sydney, and this kid knows the game, so...
A few more seconds and this one will be over, and these boys are going to be pretty tuckered out when this one finishes.
Great fight, good action fight. I'm going to have to give a close decision, in my opinion, to the North Side fighter. I think McKeegan did enough to win.
Well, Mason lost the first match against Riley Shaheen at the Albion Club.
Well,
they fought in Glasgow, so
hopefully they evened up the score on this one, and then they can fight a rematch. That was a good fight, great fight.
Well, I tell you, the entertainment dollar that's being spent here tonight is well worth it.
Well worth it, yeah, absolutely. I agree, Dave.
So right now the presentation is going to be made, and once again we'll go back to the ring and announcer Blake Bentley.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we make the official announcement, let's give these two warriors a nice round of applause. As we said, this bout was a rematch. Mason did lose on a close decision, and that was also the bout of the night in Glasgow. But now we have the official announcement for this bout. From the judges' scorecards, enter your winner by unanimous decision. From the red corner, Mason McKeegan. I see a rubber match coming up. They're squared on for one apiece.
That was a good fight.
That was a fair decision.
Yeah,
no one can argue with that.
That was a tough fight to call, but I think the right kid got the decision. It was a good fight.
The next bout coming up is Gary Woodburn from number 2 in the 140-pound class. They get Tom the Bomb Foster from Tri-Town North Sydney.
Tri-Town Amateur Boxing. Stephen Alton. They've got some presentations and some talking, and Mike's in here. The whole crew's in town tonight. So who's doing the talking? So.
How about that vote, guys? Big round of applause for this performance. Just like to start on behalf of Tri-Town Boxing to thank everybody once again for coming out. It's getting bigger every year. We're enjoying it every year. So give yourselves a big round of applause, please.
Very quickly, it's Alton McKinnon from the Tri-Town Boxing Club now talking in the ring.
Again, just before our presentations, I'd like to thank Keith Miles again and his beautiful family for coming and for sponsoring us every year. They're our major sponsor. They've helped the club more than I can say. But you know that. You, Kathy, stand up, please. Stand up. Stand up. Big round of applause. So now I'd like to bring our other major sponsor this year, last year, Scotiabank, into the ring. Phil McNeil. Got a big check. Now, I'm not sure if Phil wants to say a few words or not. No, Phil's good.
$5 grand?
Phil looks like he's
$5 grand, yeah.
People up here, though.
That's awesome.
So, on behalf of Tri-Town Boxing Club, thank you very much. Thank you and your staff for coming tonight and helping out. Thanks again, Phil. Where's Frank and Johnny at? I gotta mention you guys every time we're in here because if it wasn't for you guys, amateur boxing on the north side would still be alive. Frank Ball and John McNeil. Big round of applause. Frank Ball and John McNeil. So now, since he's in the ring, this warrior right here, I can't say enough about this kid over the last year, and I'm not gonna get choked up, but this kid, when he came to our boxing club in October, weighed 300 pounds. He weighed in today at about 162. And he fought like a warrior. So on behalf of all your coaches, brother, this is presented to you to the most improved this year, 2017.
That's nice, eh? I like to see stuff like that.
So one last little presentation. We got a picture first. He's making his own look at a shoe. Almost, yeah. So one last presentation, and I know we're not going to like this, but Wayne and Edna, the one of you guys come up here and take this out of my hand. We want to thank you for every year being down at that t-shirt table, selling t-shirts, making money, giving it back to the club, and having a pizza party for every boxer that comes from anywhere in Canada after every bout we have. There's pizzas, there's pop, there's a number of different words there. He's not going to like me for this because I'm a big boy, so I'm just going to stand back and handle this. Thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you, Edna. Let's get on with the show.
Alrighty, that's great. You know, when you think about it, that's 20 pounds.
That's what you truly call.
That's a lot of weight.
That is a lot of weight. A lot of weight. He must have had to work his butt off to get that weight off. So good on him.